What do writers struggle at? We don't really talk much about it, and I've never really seen a video or just somebody explaining what writers have struggled with and just the struggles of writers. So today I just thought, okay, I might go in and collect all of these writers' pain, struggles, and just talk about it a little more. So I'm reading from, my screen. Feeling blocked when, even with ideas. That's like one thing that a lot of people struggle with. Feeling blocked even though you have ideas. It's just because you cannot really write a specific kind of book or just write a story. You're having like all sorts of ideas, but they don't really match your kind of the story that you're writing. And so many people struggle with that. I'm struggling with it right now because I'm having so many cool ideas, but I cannot really use them because it doesn't really match in my story. But you can always reform it, You can always go in and make it your type. What kind of book would you have written? No, the other way around. Would you have read the book that you're writing? If yes, then you're doing a good job, because don't write something you don't like, because you won't really match the energy, you won't like it, and you won't enjoy really reading it as well as a reader. And readers, they're really smart. They sense if a writer is not really liking their craft. So always choose ideas that you really like and go on and write a story with it. And it is kind of like hard to be with to have good ideas but not really use them, and they're just like somewhere in your like notes. But there will be time where you can really use those ideas. Like I have ideas from 4 years ago in my notes, and it was worth keeping it because now I'm using it for my story. But back then I could not really use it in my story, and it's just the time will come for every one of those ideas because they are worth everything is an idea. So that's what I can really say. But yeah, hating your work after rereading it. I've heard this so many times. It's kind of not normal anymore. It's just so relatable to sit down and write and you thinking, okay, this is really fun, it's going to be really good, and then you reread it and it's just not really it. And a lot of people think that after writing it for the first time, it is just like, it's just over, but it's not. You can always go and like rewrite it, edit it. So it's totally normal that you do not like the thing that you wrote first, but you can always go ahead and change it and rewrite it. So that's not really a problem. Comparing your drafts to finished books, that's just so true. Like it's been so many times where I'm like reading a book and while like writing a book, and I just compared those two. But I don't really realize that that person, that author who has written the book, they need so much patience and so much time that they've put into that book that you're reading right now. So it's just not really a smart thing to do because it's not really worth it. If you think about it logically, you're going to know that you're not really speaking it. The fear that is inside you, the fear of, my book not being sold, no one will read my book, and all of these ideas, all of these kind of thoughts and fears that you have are speaking to you. It's not, the kind of book that you're writing. So keep writing and don't really let those ideas control you. Losing interest halfway through story. Like, I'm experiencing it right now. I started my book, like my new book, probably 4 months ago. I started writing it. I'm losing like my interest, and I've had so many discussions with my family and my friends where I just ask them, should I just let go of the story and not continue writing this one and just start with an idea that I like? And all of them told me that, whatever your heart tells, whatever, but it just doesn't really help me. Like, I need a clear answer, and I'm not really getting it. So after thinking for a while, I had an answer, like kind of an answer. I just thought to myself that whatever I've written till now, that whatever those ideas that you have right now, they, not ideas, like the book kind of, whatever you've written till now, it's going to be something that you will need further on. So don't delete anything. Just think about it logically. Do you think this book is going to be something that you will eventually finish? Change the characters if you don't like it. Change the storyline. Not storyline, but just like plots and everything. Add or remove. Just make it to your likings. And if it still doesn't work, then go on and write something else. But first, give it a try. It is mostly like, yeah, so I just deleted some of the characters because they were not really necessary and they were making my head, they were giving me headaches, so I just removed them. But some of the characters, I made them like stronger in a way, like gave them more kind of reasons and yeah, sort of that way. But it helped. I made a visualizer. Wait, if I can find it, wait a minute. Yeah, so this is my visualizer. I just found it, and it's just like you see all of these ideas, all of these movie scenes, all of these vibes that I get from it. I just put it with like pictures of like certain movies. Memories of Murder, I really love that movie. And for example, Berserk, Guts, or just like vibes of what that story really gives and what those characters really mean to me, so that I can always come back to it. So I don't really need much thinking before I kind of get into that vibe. And I also made a kind of a playlist where I have all of those musics that make me get into that vibe. So just make it easier for yourself. It's your book. You can always like go ahead and like they don't really know the story yet. Your audience, they don't really know the story yet. So you can always go ahead and change and remove and add and edit. So yeah, make it easier for yourself. But it is really, yeah, it's kind of a pain for sometimes, if you think about it, to, you know, to think that you've spent so much time on this book and now you're not feeling like it and you just want to delete it. But you shouldn't delete it. So that's what I can guarantee you. But yeah, I think every one of us has done this. Overthinking instead of writing. This is something that everyone has done. And I still do that. So you can never really overcome this kind of, thing where you just, if you're in like flow, then you can, of course, you're like on flow, you can write and it's very like chilled. But there are so many times where I just sat down and wanted to write, but there were no ideas, or I just was overthinking about certain things. And instead of like writing it, I was like thinking it. So it's true that writing is mostly thinking, but if you don't write it down, it doesn't really bring anything. So always know that even if you have a small like paragraph of like your ideas, it will be more than just all of these thoughts in your head. So I always tell you, go ahead and write all of those ideas down, all of them. Because once you forget about about your ideas, it will be such a pain. It will be a pain. So yeah, wanting perfection too early. I've been there. I wanted everything so perfect all the time that I just compared my writing to other people's. That's just, it's so mixed, every single one of those things. Just so perfectionism leads to comparing your writing drafts or whatever to like finished books of other people. So that is what it is with writing. And so you have to know that once you drop that perfectionism mindset, everything will be easier for you. Because who's telling you to be perfect at like the early years of your writing, or the early years of you writing your book? Writing needs time, writing needs patience. You cannot just really rush everything. You can never really rush anything. And by editing, you can always make your craft better, but having this perfectionist mindset will eventually hurt you, because it will burn you out. It will lead you to compare your books to other people's, and it's not really worth it. So yeah, drop it. Writing for approval instead of yourself. Yeah, I don't really know what to say to it, but I've written, I've just written things where it was just for other people's approvals, not for myself, and I was not really happy with it, and it led me to hate this specific scene or chapter or book. I never want to see it again. So that's why it's best to write for yourself, because then you will be happy to come to it every single day. It's your idea. And if you write for somebody else, you won't like the idea, and you want to like give up halfway through. It's always, all of these things are so connected. It's just so fascinating to me. So fear of being judged. Yeah, who will buy my book, who will like read it, who will like it, writing for approval. Know that you're writing the story, not them. They're not writing the story. And the time, the patience, the ideas, the thoughts that you put into that book, no one else did. So write for yourself, not for other people. Yeah. Starting many stories and finish none. That's just so funny, because when I first started writing, I thought that I might finish all these stories like very fast, but it's not like that, you know. It needs time. Every book needs time. And I had all of these docs, like, you know, folders where I had like stories, and none of them were finished. And it's just, I think one finished book is better than a lot of non-finished ones. It's good to have ideas, write them down, of course, but giving your energy to one specific book is better than giving your energy to a lot of, you know, stories. There was just a kind of like a, what was that again? Forgot about it. But there was a picture of like two circles in the middle, and there were like files, and there were like one circle had one file, and it was just, you know, the energy that you give to one specific thing, like for example one book, and the other circle had multiple files. There was a lot of different things, and with doing that, it doesn't really help much, and you will be burned out. So it's better to stick to one thing. Feeling lonely while writing. That's just so normal, you know. Writing is such a lonely thing. You just sit there and write, and no one's really there to kind of, because no one really cares what you write. You know, of course your audience will care, but for me, I mean, when I write, I'm like so happy about, like so thrilled about one specific scene. I go and I tell my family about it, and they're like, wow, yeah, that's it. So no one really cares actually, and that's totally fine. That's normal. But it's just a very alone thing that you do. You get all of these ideas out of your mind. And for me, it's just that rest time after school, after like family time, after everything. I come home, sit down, and just, you know, write. And that just gives me this kind of peaceful time where I can just put all of my ideas out and, yeah, write. For other people, if you're like if you fear of being lonely, then it can be kind of hard. But yeah, that's why a lot of writers like writing, because they like alone time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know about that psychology, but doubting your voice. A lot of people say, what is voice? What is like writing voice? It's like something in your head that tells you this is, it's kind of a gut feeling. It's like gut feeling. So it tells you that this feeling is right. You have to write it down, and it will be a good scene. And yeah, it's just that probably. But it, the more you write, the more you kind of find your voice, and the more it will be easy for you to not doubt your voice, but listen to it and acknowledge it, if that makes any sense. And it just depends on how many years of that you've written, probably. Because now I don't really doubt it anymore. Back then I used to. and it was, I think, about the time of like how much time I spend writing, or yeah. So being consistent, that is like one of the biggest topics. I'm gonna stop this video right here, and I'm gonna make another video because it's like we're like halfway through, so it will probably take a long time. So yeah, I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.